Navigation is relatively straightforward. You have a waypoint increment button on your joystick to increment your waypoint up once, and you can see your waypoints on the HUD with a vertical line. This will point towards your waypoints if I steer away from it. You can see the vertical line. I need to simply line that up with the V, inverted V in the center, to fly toward my waypoint. You can also see the distance to the waypoint, 18.8 miles, and the waypoint, its name itself, waypoint 1. If you wish to change this, you can press the waypoint increment button, it'll increase up, or you can go to the EHSD, the electronic horizontal situational display. From here we can change the waypoint. Ensure that you have the waypoint selected. For example, if I select off, I can no longer change my waypoint, so click the waypoint button. Now I can increment waypoints up and down. I can also scale my map in and out. There's waypoint 1, waypoint 2 is beyond the scale, and waypoint 5 is behind me there. There's also a course setting which can be set with this knob here, however it is not currently implemented. You can see the needle here pointing toward our next waypoint, so if I want to go to waypoint 2, I can tell it is at a bearing of 191, a range of 42 miles, and it will take me at current rate 8 minutes to get there. You can see it counting down as I'm accelerating currently toward it. So I point my nose toward it, level out. On the HUD you can see the vertical line, so I'll fine-tune myself to it. And now I'm on course for waypoint 2. Next is the Tacan, the Tactical Air Navigation System. You can enable this by pressing T, CN on the upfront controller. You can see it says on. You can toggle it on and off with the on-off button. If it says nothing, it is off. If it says on, it is on. You can use this to locate broadcasting Tacan stations such as aircraft tankers and airbases. To start with, I'm going to show you a tanker. I know the frequency of the tanker is 05 and its band is X-ray. You can change this to Yankee and X-ray. In receive mode, I only get the bearing to my target. In transmit receive mode, I will get the bearing and range. However, I'm also sending out a signal myself which other aircraft can detect. Next I want to enable air-to-air mode to follow the tanker, since this is an airborne station. And you can see it has appeared on my HSI. I'll enable Tacan here, and now I can see the bearing, the range, and time to intercept. So I will rotate myself around toward the marker, this one here, and I'll put myself nose on to the tanker. It does not give you directional information about the tanker, so you will have to surmise for yourself whether the tanker is heading toward you, away from you, to the left or the right of you. You can figure these out simply by observing. If you are holding a steady speed and you are heading toward the tanker and the timer is going down faster than real time, you know that the tanker is coming toward you. If it is going down slower than real time, you know the tanker is going away from you. As long as you maintain a steady heading, you can also tell if the tanker is going left or right of you by watching to see if the indicator drifts at all. So I maintain a steady heading, and you can see that the tanker is in fact flying to our right, as this icon is slowly rotating round. So to intercept it, I will try and cut it off by flying ahead of it. We are 8 miles out. The tanker should be in this direction somewhere. There he is. We can see the needle pointing directly at him, and the marker for the Tacan inside the compass. I'm using a KC-135 as my example, as at present the KC-130 does not feature a Tacan station, nor does the USS Tarawa. So I've passed the other side of the tanker now. If I have a look at the situational display, we can see that the tanker is to our right as I overtake him. And we'll see the needle go round. Next up I will track a ground station. You can find the Tacan information for air bases with the Kneeboard by pressing right shift K and using square brackets to change the page. You can cycle through to the various air bases. So let's find a nearby one. Tbilisi, Sukumi, Batumi will do. We can see down here it says Tacan is 1-6 X-ray. So I will punch in Tacan 1-6 X-ray, enter. I will turn off air-to-air mode, and you can see it is telling me that I'm bearing 119 to the airbase at almost 50 miles. I'm currently going away from it. So let's have a look. 50 miles, bearing 120. So we know that is correct. All I have to do, rotate myself around, and much like the tanker, put this marker in front of me and simply fly toward it. In addition, you can find the information about airbases on the F10 map. Simply click on the airbase and it will tell you the various services it has available, runways, the ILS numbers, and the Tacan. Not all airbases have Tacan frequencies. For example, most of the Russian airbases do not feature Tacan. And make sure that the Tacan functionality is enabled on your electronic horizontal situational display. If you wish to change waypoints, again you have to press the waypoint button and you can cycle through them again. Back to Tacan. Finally we have the AWLS, or All Weather Landing System. You can enable this by pressing AWL on your upfront controller. And now you need to set the channel, currently set as 0. The channels for the various airbases are shown in the manual on page 100. I'll show a picture of them here. So in order to use this, we're going to fly to Kubaleti. I want channel 1. So I will have channel 1 on the upfront controller. I will press enter. And the channel will change. It will not update on this picture for whatever reason, but it has changed. If I press the buttons here, you can see the Tacan frequency, the elevation of the airbase, the glide slope angle 3 degrees, and the currently selected channel, in this case 1. Next I need to go down to the electronic horizontal situational display, select the all-weather landing system mode, ensure that the all-weather landing system is on, pressing the on button. You can see now we have a marker to our airbase out there somewhere, and we've gained some new symbology on the HUD. We also have on the right hand side the bearing, range and time to arrival. So I'll point myself toward the airbase. I will start my descent. You can see the airbase up there. I'm now on target. You can see this big vertical bar. This is your position relative to the airbase. As you can see, I am to the left of the airbase. The marker is to the left. So I need to fly that marker to the centre of my HUD, so I need to roll to the right to correct this. So I'll turn right. You can see I will slowly line up with the runway, and when I do, this vertical bar here will line up with the centre of my crosshair and then go across the other side if I overshoot. So I'll maintain this heading, and I'll also maintain a descent because I'm quite high still. The all-weather landing system is designed to operate in near-zero visibility. It will help you align up with the runway without the need to see it. So once again, I am to the left of the flight path, so this beam here is showing my position relative to the airfield. I am too far to the left, and I need to bring this bar to the centre. To do that I am turning to the right, this way, and when I cross the line of the heading of the airfield, this vertical line will cross over toward the middle, and then I need to follow this vertical line with my centre. So there we go, the line started to move. We're crossing toward the runway heading. When it crosses over, I need to turn toward the airbase. So almost there. I'm going to start gentling off my turn. Now I'll carry on following in. You do not need to be able to see the runway to perform this, as I'm focusing purely on the HUD symbology here. We're almost on target. So I'll turn to the right a little bit. And you can see that the line is now lining up. Remember, the line represents you, not the location of the airbase. So I'm almost lined up. There we go, now I'll turn to straighten up. So I keep that line centred and simply fly toward the airbase. There we go, so now we are close. We have this horizontal line. It represents the glide slope. You aim to have it in the centre of the cross. If it is too high, that means you are beneath the glide slope. If it is too low, that means you are above the glide slope. As you can see, we're maintaining about a 3-degree dive, as was detailed in the all-weather landing system. If I go too low, you can see the bar is rising up. So now we are beneath the glide slope. If I pull up, you can see we're now too far to the left and beneath the glide slope, so I will turn to the right and climb a little bit. You can also simply maintain level altitude, so there we go, we're at the correct altitude. Time to put a dive in to regain the glide slope, and we are back on heading. We're now too far to the right, so turn to the left. Getting a little bit too low. And so it's simply a case of following the symbology on your HUD, and it will guide you into the airbase. You do not need to be able to see out your window. The system is designed for operation in near zero visibility. So we are now above our glide slope significantly. I will dive.
Landing gear, landing gear.
Rotate ourselves toward the airbase again. You see we're catching back up with where we should be on the glide slope. Our centre line is slowly aligning with the runway again. We are getting to the glide slope. And we're drifting to the right. So correct that. We're now too low on the glide slope. So I'll maintain my current altitude until I reacquire it. There we go. And now simply come in for your approach. And touchdown. So I'm going to do one more attempt. This time I'm going to do it in bad weather with pretty terrible visibility. I'm going to start by turning on my radar altimeter. This is to ensure I have an accurate altitude reading. Next, I will turn on the all-weather landing system, set it to channel 1 for Kubaletti, enter it, turn the system on. Go to my EHSD, enable my all-weather landing system prompts here, and now I'll make a turn. You can see my runway position is off. I am to the left of it, so I need to turn to the right. So I'm going to turn off about 10 degrees, and allow that line to catch up, so I cross over the intended path of the runway. Just sit here and wait for it to move. So it's almost on us. I'm going to slowly make the turn gentler and gentlest to try and catch the lineup as and when it reaches the centre position, to try and avoid an overshoot. So as soon as that vertical line in the middle crosses into the middle of the flight path or velocity vector indicator, I'll be on the approach. So there we go, we're on line. The runway heading is 07, so I need to make sure I line up with that to keep this steady. It's no good simply aligning that vertical line with the centre. You need to make sure you're also aligned with the runway at the same time, which I've more or less achieved, and I'm putting on a gentle dive as we go into the clouds. It's very easy to get confused or lost and disorientated in the fog, so you've got to make very slow and deliberate decisions, keeping a close eye on whatever is happening on your instruments. You can see I'm in about a 2-degree dive. I'm at 4.8 angels. I'm just going to keep it steady. I've slipped a bit to the left, so I've rolled to the right to correct it, crossing back over to centre. Lining myself back up with 07. And now I simply have to maintain this until I find the localizer. There we go. The localized glide slope. Now that has appeared, I need to ensure that I line it up. It is above me, which means I'm beneath the glide slope, so I will pull up. I will also drop my landing gear and flaps at this point, so I can get myself used to that, as you get a bit of a kick when you drop landing gear and flaps. Again, I'm still too low. My heading is good, but I need to fly level, and I'll let the glide path catch up with me. So again, I'm slipping, I need to keep myself straight. I'm slipping off to the left, so I have to roll to the right. Just a small movement, not for anything big. Let it correct and then head back to 07. Overcorrected, rolling back. I'm still beneath the glide path, or the glide slope. Oh, it is starting to come up on me, so I'm going to correct my descent a little bit to make sure it does get there. I've now drifted quite badly, I to roll to the right to get myself back on runway heading. Getting close to glide slope now. Corrected my heading. This is where things get real stressful. Got to keep these both aligned nicely. The better you do this, the better your position will be relative to the runway when you can finally see it. So this is looking good. I'm a little bit too high now. It's just a gentle dive. Don't want to make any big changes. Got to correct for the slipping again. And rolling back level. I'm now beneath the glide path. I need to pull up gently. First, I've got a bigger problem. I'm coming off angle. Straighten back out. Should align myself with the 7 again. I've gone too far the other way because I'm so close to the airfield now. It's very easy to get into oscillations and never make it back in this position when you're very close. One angel. Very close to the ground now. Big correction. This is what you don't want to do. You can end up oscillating backwards and forwards, forever chasing the needle. So I'm now above the glide path. I'm too high. Not by a huge amount. But I'd rather be too high than too low right now. Any second now we should see the runway pop out at us. And I'll left a little bit, so I'm turning left. You can see the ground. Now too low. There's the runway. A little bit to the right. And put her down. Now this is very tricky to pull off. As you can see, I need a bit more practice myself. But you can see just how powerful this landing system is. You can get down in basically zero visibility. But it's all about the approach. You need to get yourself lined up nicely. On both axes ideally, but most important one is to make sure your heading is correct and matches the runway. And then just plant yourself down on the runway itself. And with that, I hope this helps you with navigation, and happy landings.